meeting to order. If everyone wants to rise and take off their hats. Do blank. Thank you. Pledge of allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
States of America,
and to the
to the
republic
republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I was gonna say pledge. I remember that time I messed it up, so I was thinking I had it wrong. Good Lord. Alrighty. Okay, welcome everyone to the April 15th Select Board meeting. We have a couple of announcements. Sustainable Grafton will hold an Earth Day celebration from 9 to 1 this Saturday at the Common. There will be over a dozen vendors, tables from local environmental groups, and activities for kids. The Recreation Department will host their community-wide yard sale on May 3rd from 8:30 to 2. Register to join the town-wide map of sales for that day, as well as receive a Grafton Rec Community Yard Sale sign. Yard sale spots are also available on the Common. Register by April 18th at tinyurl.com/Grafton Yard Sale 24. Third and fourth quarter tax bills were issued in the first week of January. So this is a friendly reminder that the fourth quarter payments are due May 1st. If you have any questions, please contact the Treasurer Collector's Office, 508-839-5335, extension 1340. Okay, we have no public hearings, so we will move along to our first set of appointments, which is the Grafton Housing Authority tenant seat. And we did get an email from Paul Letourneau earlier that he was going to withdraw his name due to an issue with transportation due to where the meetings were held. So we have, and Edward Connolly won't be here this evening, but I did speak with him the other day, and I can kind of let you guys know a little bit about our conversation because he works this evening. So we have Robin Grant, maybe via Zoom.
No, I'm right here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, introduce yourself. And Carol? Carol's via Zoom. Okay. Robin, would you like to come up first?
Sure.
And basically just give us a little bit of information about you and why you're interested in the position, and then we'll open it to
Well, my name's Robin Grant, and I would like to be thought of for the position, and it would be something that you would have to participate in and show up. So here I am in front of you, as opposed to doing Zoom. I'm not too sure what the responsibilities are, but I will do my best to work with everybody. And, you know, I'm not saying it's good, I'm not saying it's bad, but everything could, you know, if you do things right, you're always working on it. So I would like the opportunity to work with the housing, and I don't know what more to say that. I've done a lot of charity work, and here I am.
Great. Thank you for that, Robin. Anyone have any questions on the board? Go ahead, Andy.
So what sort of personal life experience do you feel like you bring to the position that could be beneficial?
You would have to tell me what the job description and what you want me to do to answer that question. It was pretty blank, not too depth of what exactly the job is. I was on the board for Habitat for Humanity on the fundraising and family selection committee. I've done a lot of things. I'm active. I'm sociable. I think that, like, I don't know what to talk about because I don't really know what it curtails. You know, I do think that there's residents that are older and they don't get out, they don't go out, and they might get lost in the shuffle, you know. So let them know what's out there and to be a voice. So, okay.
Thanks. Anyone else?
Sure. Yeah, just quickly, Ms. Grant. I'm interested in what interested you in the opportunity. I guess you know what's your sort of motivation. What prompted you to throw your hat in the ring?
Because I live in housing.
Okay.
And I love my neighbors. I love the community. And like I said, you know, everybody's got their job. I don't want to, you know, say too much, but like I said, I don't know what you're going to ask of me too much. But what I'm here to say is that, you know, I'd be a willing participant in whatever is asked of me.
Sure. Just quick follow-up question then, I guess. Have you had any exposure to the meetings of the Housing Authority?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
When do you post the meetings?
They meet, is it the second Tuesday of every month?
Yeah, at 2 p.m.
So the meetings are posted on the website, and then they're also posted here in the town hall. And then minutes are available afterwards, but
Do you ever do you ever post them at the different
at the housing, that's a good
housing?
question. I don't know. the
You got
answer to that.
6, I think, in town. Do you ever post the meeting or the minutes of the meeting at
Yes.
the hall? You do.
Yep, it's on the Grafton website.
That they're posted
That's not
at
the
those
web.
places, okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they put them in the buildings or not, but it's a good question, and I'm sure we can follow up on that. That's all the questions I have.
So just sort of a generalist, want to make some contributions, give back to the community, sounds like.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well said.
Yeah, great.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, Carol, if you want to unmute.
Let me look. I think, can you, yeah, you can hear me?
We can, thank you.
Okay. I was going to come in because I wasn't sure whether this Zoom was going to work, but Zingo, here I am. This is awesome. And thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that she just left.
Okay.
Sorry. So go ahead. So Carol, just a little bit about you and why you might be interested in this position and any information that you have maybe relative to what the Housing Authority does.
Sure. Well, I've been a Graftonite since 1997, and I've been living in Forest Lane now for 6 years. And I got a letter from Amanda Brady explaining that there was an opening for a tenant representative for the Housing Authority. And I looked at everything that she wrote that was in the letter and told me what the Housing Authority is responsible for. And I'm really interested in learning more about it.
Okay, great. Any questions from the board?
Just one question. Have you had a chance to have any exposure to the Housing Authority meetings or read minutes or anything like that?
Not yet, but I know when the meetings are.
Okay.
And sad to say, it coincides with my card playing. But anyway, moving forward, I would certainly make myself available for that because I'd like to learn more about it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
And at least it's only once a month, so maybe that you can still play the other 3 weeks.
Yeah, it works.
Anything, Andy?
Yep, I'd just like to say thank you. I had a little bit of a tough day today, and I appreciate the good laugh here at the end of it. Thank you very much.
Oh,
And thank you
thank
for
you.
volunteering.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Andy?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Connolly wasn't able to come in person, and so Amber gave him my number, and we just kind of had a quick chat via telephone, and I asked him similar to what we asked folks here. A little bit similar to the other two candidates, he was kind of going in a little bit blind and not knowing much about the position and what it entails necessarily, but he was just looking to get involved in something in town and kind of give back. He lives in one of the housing one of the units. I didn't ask him specifically where, and he feels that it would help him become more in the loop. He feels a little bit out of the loop, so getting involved to kind of pull him into the loop. He owned a business for about 30 years. He was in the music business. He's a musician. He was a musician in the 70s, toured all around for what it's worth. I was interested because I'm a musician as well, but he owned a music, then subsequently he toured in Ireland, and then opened a music store in Milford and I believe Medway, and then COVID kind of hit and he needed to extract himself out of that post-COVID. So now he's working in retail kind of locally, and he did express just a bit of an issue in that, but he thought it wasn't insurmountable in that he does work at 3:00 on Tuesdays, but he thought that if this were to work out, he would be able to work around that. So just to throw that out. And that's, I think, what I got. So, we have 3 candidates, and as always, we're very grateful for everyone to step up. And did Carol?
Yeah, she's
Okay, sorry, maybe I need
Just
to
I'm
make
not
that
doing
clear.
great here tonight. I don't know.
Do folks have to be here for an appointment or not necessarily? Okay, great.
I mean, we'll just get back in touch.
Okay, so
Madam Chair.
anyone has, yep, go ahead.
Out of the applicants, I really appreciated that Carol had reached out, done some research beforehand, talked to Amanda, did seem to have a some knowledge as to what the position will hold. She seemed like an absolute delight. So I would move that the board appoint Carol Fioravanti to the tenant seat on the Grafton Housing Authority.
Okay, there's a motion.
Second that?
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? And again, thank you to all 4 and now 3 remaining candidates who stepped up for this. I'm sure there'll be plenty of other roles in the future for sure. So barring any discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries 4-0. So congratulations, Carol. And,
We'll be in touch.
you guys-
Your card games.
Okay, at least, they're like, boom, boom. Moving on to election workers, we have a few election workers to appoint. I will take a,
Madam Chair,
go ahead.
I move the board vote to appoint Teresa Clark, George Hooley, and Thomas Richard as election workers.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, in discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Okay, moving along to appointments by the town administrator. We have a permanent full-time police officer, Andrew Watkins, and I'm not sure if the chief wants to come up and. If I could. Yep, sure.
Seems to be a very popular choice with the turnout we have.
Madam Chair, members of the board, thank you for making some time for us tonight. So we're here to introduce our newest member of the Grafton Police Department. So essentially, this position was created with the retirement of Chief Crapo, and then the subsequent promotions led to an open patrol position. Being that was October, it's about 6 months later, I thought it made sense to wait for the new command staff to come on and kind of get a foothold. So they were really led the process, and I think they did a fantastic job in doing that. Our goal was to get a lateral transfer. We had multiple applicants for that, and through an exhaustive search process and background investigations, et cetera, we've offered the job to Andrew Watkins. So just a quick bio on him.
Chief, what's a lateral transfer for the uninitiated?
So he's a currently certified full-time police officer.
Guys,
So it's a lateral, meaning, he's just coming from another police
so
department.
you stole them.
We stole him. Yep.
Good for you. Good.
It's becoming more and more popular in our profession now, and
That is a good sign,
it's a source of tension at chiefs meetings when you bump into the chief that he. But I did have a conversation with the chief before we did this, and we're on good terms. So Andrew Watkins was a full-time police officer with the town of Natick for 7 years. He attended the Massachusetts State Police Municipal Academy in 2018. He has a bachelor's in administration of justice from Salve Regina, a master's of science in criminal justice from Norwich University. And I think one of his most recent and interesting accomplishments was this past winter, he did a 4-month International Police Exchange Academy in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, which I thought was really interesting. I'd never even heard of it until we met Andrew. Academic topics that they covered there was crisis management, resiliency, design thinking, and future foresight. In the interview process, Andrew told us one of his motivating factors is that his wife is a Peralt, so a longtime Grafton family, and we should congratulate them both on a 3-week-old son.
3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
3 weeks
All right.
old. So,
Congrats.
Andrew Watkins.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
You.
Anything for us or?
No, I'm just excited to join the Grafton community. My wife and I got married here, and we have a strong foothold in the Grafton. We're always at the nursery, so I'm excited to steal Carol's words, be a Graftonite. So
Yeah.
Great. Anything from the board?
Just welcome. Your resume is impressive, and I love that you got out into the world to see how policing is done in other cultures. Even Abu Dhabi's no joke.
yeah, it was 29 different countries, 55 officers from around the world. So it was very interesting and cool to live and work with them. So
Great, good stuff. Yeah, welcome.
Yeah. So whenever this group of this team comes in, I say the same thing. What a great elite staff of human beings you're joining. What a great team of people. You're going to fit right in. Your resume is outstanding. You seem like a great young man. Very happy to have you. And look at this. Look at them just coming in to just welcome you publicly. What a great fraternity
it is.
of
Yeah,
of superheroes behind you.
it's very nice to see.
Yep. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Andy?
Yeah, same. Welcome.
I should have gone last.
we keep doing
It's not
it,
easy
but,
to follow
you know,
that.
Always let Mark go last. There's
It's-
no way to go
Next
after
time.
him.
It's an impressive resume. You know, we're super glad to have you here. I like, you know, when we can grab some younger staff and grow them inside the department. Yeah, you join a fine group of gentlemen. Chief, again, you every time you come in here and you give us an update on, you know, your approach to leadership and hiring and you know the senior management team over there as well. I think it was just a great approach.
Thank you.
Very straightforward, common sense. So yeah, excited to have you here and get you out on patrol.
Absolutely, I'm excited to join.
I just have a question about, how long were you in Abu Dhabi? It's on my list.
October to February.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
Okay.
a long time.
And with all of the, folks from however
Yep.
many countries you mentioned?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was like an intensive,
Yes, yeah. It was very interesting to see how they do it, see how other countries do it. So, and then just to learn different people and different views and ways of life. So it was very interesting and informative.
that's great. And did your other department sponsor that, or was that just?
It was through the IACP, so the International Chiefs of Police. So
Great.
I applied and got it accepted. So
Oh, that's fabulous. Great. Well, just echo, welcome to this great department. Thank you, Chief, for what you're doing and
Thank
for all
you.
of you guys to come out this evening. I think it's a wonderful testament. So I thank you all for that too, and welcome and best of luck.
thank you so much.
Great hire, Chief.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Alamo.
I move the board vote to affirm the appointment of Andrew Watkins to the position of permanent full-time police officer in the great town of Grafton.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Okay, moving along to local building inspector Kevin Flanagan. Evan, anything? No worries on the local building inspector. Do
We were having an audio issue on Zoom.
Okay.
We're fixing it.
you want to wait for a second?
Nope.
Okay.
No, I think we're good now. Yeah, so we recently onboarded Kevin Flanagan into the position that was previously Tracy's position. Tracy moved up. So Kevin comes from a background of general contracting. He does finished carpentry and things along those
Finished carpentry and stairs primarily.
stairs. Yes, I knew it was something. But really nice, energetic guy. I think he's going to fit right in. And yeah, just happy to have him on board and have that department back to full staff.
Yeah, sure.
Where are they?
They don't,
Please show up.
because I asked them to.
Just kidding.
Any comments? Go ahead and take a motion.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Allen.
I move the board vote to affirm the appointment of Kevin Flanagan to the position of local building inspector.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Okay, moving along to new business. We have a change of manager for a package store, all alcoholic beverage license. We have someone here from Five Star. Just have to unmute.
Yeah, hello everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
So just tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Yeah, everything is as it is. We are the owners since last 12 years. Just change the name in a manager. That's it. And I'm here always 7 days a week. I'm present here. So that's why we want to change the name and as a manager.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Okay, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move the board vote to approve the change of manager for the package store all alcohol beverages license held by Five Star Liquors and to sign the licensing authority certification.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? And we have everything we need, Evan, relative to this, okay?
Correct.
Okay, barring no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously, 4-0. Thank you so much for coming in.
So thank you very much. Thank you all.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Okay, and we have a couple of one-day beer and wine license. I see Lisa, maybe here from Apple Tree.
Hi,
Hi there, how are you?
good. How are you?
Good, thanks. Just tell us a little bit about
So-
what's going on.
Ours is a little emergent because my daughter is in pardon the name, Shifei Shakespeare out of Boston. And they lost their venue 6 weeks early because there was a flood for another performing troupe, and the venue decided to let them have it because they had sold out audiences and theirs did not. So Apple Tree is hosting them on this Saturday night, the 19th. So it's kind of a last minute request to have a beer and wine license for Saturday night.
Okay, great. And we have everything we need here. The packet tip, et cetera. Any questions for Lisa from the board? Go ahead, Andy.
So you said the other run unfortunately got canceled early. Is there a possibility that if this goes well, you could add additional shows in Grafton?
Possibly, yeah. They're not really sure if this is really their demographic, just because we're so far out. Usually they perform in Somerville, or actually they were just in Boston proper at the the Little Chuck, Charles Playhouse, the basement part. So maybe, and if they do, then it'll be more of a regular thing, at least for this run.
It sounds like a great concept, and I heard from a lot of people that they're excited about it. So
Yeah, we're excited too.
Okay, well, great job getting them in. Any other questions or comments from the board?
Nope, Madam Chair.
Mr. Alamo?
I move the board vote to approve a one-day beer and wine license for Apple Tree Arts on Saturday, April 19th, 2025.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Best of luck at the event and to Noel on the weekend.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Okay, and moving along to similarly a one-day beer and wine license at the Willard House. Is there anyone here for that? Doesn't look like it.
I don't believe so.
Okay. Anyone have any questions about this one? It's not their first rodeo with
No.
this.
no, everything seemed in order.
Okay. So
I can make a
if
motion.
there- Go ahead.
I move the board vote to approve a one-day beer and wine license for the Willard House and Clock Museum on Saturday, May 10th, 2025.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? 0. Motion carries unanimously, 4-0. Okay, and moving along finally to Kara, talking about the installation of a pet food pantry box. If you don't, you can either sit or you can stand, whatever you're most comfortable with, no big deal.
Have a visual. I lost a lot of my audience though.
Yeah, that happens.
We could call
Welcome
them.
to the club.
Guess how it goes though.
So hi, I'm Kara Sonbakos Mansfield. I know a lot of you here. I am seeking town support of my project called Lacey's Lunchbox. Thank you very much to Mark Alamo as well for the whole gang, but Mark for inviting me here tonight. So the purpose of Lacey's Lunchbox is to support pet owners that are facing financial challenges by providing free, accessible pet food through a community-driven pantry. Our aim is to ensure that no pet goes hungry, promoting the well-being of pets and families in times of need. This project is deeply personal to me. It is in loving memory of Lacey. She was a canine good citizen certified therapy dog. who touched the souls of dozens of individuals, teenagers that I work with at a residential school, before she was taken very recently and far too soon by cancer. So this project is in memory of her. So much like the little free libraries that you might see around town, my vision is to place these doghouse-shaped pantry boxes in high-traffic areas around Grafton and surrounding cities. So currently working on Holden and Rutland as well. So ease of access is a key feature of this project. Due to the nature of the structure, they can be utilized 24/7, setting them apart from food pantries that may have limited hours and limited accessibility. Their installation on public land that has high visibility and foot traffic promotes accessibility for individuals that may have trouble traveling. In terms of the construction and upkeep itself, the boxes are freestanding on 4 legs, allowing for portability while also maintaining stability. They're wooden with plexiglass doors and shingled roofs and are painted with weather-resistant paint. My husband and I have been making them in our basement. I'm learning carpentry. The boxes themselves are 28 inches high, they're 24 inches wide and 27 inches long, and then leg height is customizable. Within the boxes are a plastic tote, like a big Tupperware situation to store the food, which maintains freshness and adds another layer of protection from wildlife. The boxes are securely latched closed. Pet food donations are collected by myself. I will bag and label any opened bags of food with the brand, the allergens, the expiration date. Any unopened bags or cans can just pop right in. I'll be responsible for maintenance and restocking. At least once a week, contact information and instructions will be provided inside the boxes. So there's some similar projects currently. The Central Mass Pet Pantry in Shrewsbury has reported that the pantry is very successful, but limitations are they're only open for about 4 hours a week, and they're not very easily accessible to more rural towns. They have pledged support of this project. They are willing to provide donations, which is very kind. Westboro also has a similar design at their St. Stephen's Church. Their pantry, it was actually purchased on Etsy. It's more of a metal prefab box by a Girl Scout troop just last year. So, conclusion, I'm not asking for any funding of the town, just asking permission to install 1 to 2 of these structures around the town. The Congregational Church right in the center has granted space for 1 structure, which will be installed within the next month. My primary proposed location would be outside of the Municipal Center building or the Senior Center. More than willing to discuss other potential opportunities. It came to my attention actually at a Rutland Select Board meeting that seniors more often than we may realize, are facing financial challenges in terms of feeding pets. So, yeah. And thank you for your time. Happy to answer any questions.
That's great, Kara. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions from the board?
Well, I do. I kind of know some of the answers, but so it's like an open book test, which I was really good at in high school. So, Madam Chair, so first of all, Kara, the reason you're here is because of you, right? So you can thank anybody here, but you're the reason you're here, and it's a great, wonderful thing. We discussed this a few weeks back, and I love pets. I'm so sorry for your loss. I know what that's like. Did I hear a new pup yesterday? when I
We
walked
do
in the
have
thing?
a new pup. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's Barker.
She's
Barker, yeah.
She's very loud.
Yep.
Yeah, Lacey was just a irreplaceable, perfect soul, and this
They all
one
are.
is
I
different.
know she was. and I some of us here share a similar,
Of course.
circumstances. So I think it's wonderful, and your parents should be so proud of you. You're doing a fantastic job. I am biased. I have known Kara basically her whole life.
Yes.
But so no financial request from the town, just a place to put this on town property is all you're asking for.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and you're going to build the box. You're going to provide the food.
Correct.
You do all the work,
Maintain
all
the upkeep.
all of that
Yep.
stuff.
Mhm.
So, what's the downside? Right? People
I
need
may
this.
pester you for more. That's more boxes. That's
Yep.
the only downside, I suppose.
Yeah, because this is super helpful for people, families in need, and obviously pets too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I have
It's,
a couple of questions. Are you?
yeah.
Did you answer all of your
Yeah,
questions
yeah,
with your answers that you already knew?
Yes, there were more, but I don't want to do this. It's too
So are they like low to the ground? They're just like small legs on the ground?
Yeah, so the boxes themselves are, they're decent size because they fit a 24-quart tote inside, again, for the freshness of the food. The first model that we made, the legs are approximately 3 feet off the ground. Just so when you are looking in, it's more eye level because we have that plexiglass like door basically. So people aren't having to reach up or reach down too far to pull that tote out.
So all the food's like in a tote that's closed as well within the
Correct.
box. Yeah. And there's like a little lock on the plexiglass thing. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's the honor system though, too. Right?
Yeah.
It is, absolutely, absolutely. And, there are some, ethical dilemmas about that, but I feel like people can take advantage of it, but at the end of the day, it's still benefiting their animal.
Right.
So I have no issue with that.
Yeah. These things, I think they tend to work.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking because I'm part of this, looking at like rodenticides and rats and, like making sure things are buttoned up and other animals aren't getting in there and feeding off of this. But if there's a tote within the thing, then that should be great.
Definitely.
It's a big commitment for you to be going around and changing all these, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
Thank you.
Is your new dog also a therapeutic or going to be a therapeutic
Oh,
dog?
Lord, I don't know. Maybe someday.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe someday.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
Just one. Yeah, I guess my longer term concern would be the commitment to keeping these stocked over time. So, yeah, I'm not sure if you can really address that concern, but that's just one. These are mobile, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if the town for whatever reason decided that, hey, we're done with this isn't working out.
Okay.
Off
I guess
those.
what I was thinking about is locations, and I think it's a great idea. Good benefit for the town. I would be curious if you've thought about someplace in South Grafton.
I've thought about.
There's just a lot of there's a lot of focus usually in Center Grafton and sometimes North Grafton, but South Grafton doesn't always get a whole lot of love. And I'm thinking about maybe the Mill Park area or that because a lot of people walk that area and there's a lot of kind of foot traffic and
Yeah.
so I don't want to tell you where to put them, but I guess I would just encourage you to think about if you've got one at the Congregational Church, maybe think about somewhere in South Grafton.
For sure. Yeah. I was trying to think about different areas. Yeah. In North and South Grafton, kind of school doesn't feel right, but I like the idea of Mill Park. Yeah.
Yeah, someplace where there would be dogs,
Right.
potentially, just and pet owners and whatnot.
Definitely.
Foot traffic. So, but
I was-
yeah, it's a great idea.
I was thinking similarly, Matt, that kind of up here, there's a lot of cars and commotion too, like where maybe it would get lost and maybe a spot like that where you can actually pull in, park without having traffic
Yeah.
all over and just grab
Yeah.
the food and then hit the road.
Yeah.
It's a nice there's a lot of parking over there and it's not often full, so
Yeah,
it'd be a nice spot.
it's nice that they're mobile, so you could sort of move around, to
Right. If it doesn't
sure.
work.
see where works best.
For sure. Yeah.
Is there any? I'm just wondering if there's any way to sort of gauge how much they get used.
To gauge how much they would get used.
Yeah, just
If the food's gone.
I guess.
Yeah, when the food's gone,
Those-
it's go
yeah,
time.
Well, but
Yeah.
then was it gone in a day?
Yeah.
Anyways, interesting idea. I love that you're stepping up and just taking a passion of yours and operationalizing it and
Oh, thank you.
making a commitment. So
Thank you.
That's great. It's good stuff.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Anything, Andy?
Yeah. Getting a little specific and probably into the minutia. You said, you've worked on construction. So, does that tote that's going to be inside, is that meant to be taken in and out by the person? And then, so is there, only because they're sitting up about 3 feet and they're could be the potential for a decent amount of weight in them. Do they have it like a decent base, so we're not worried about them tipping on people? Is there, you know, moving
Oh
in and
yeah.
out?
No, absolutely.
Again,
Absolutely.
need to be like secured in some way, or like what were you thinking about for that?
We thought about, because obviously we don't want to like pour concrete or like dig holes or like any sort of disruption like that. But we had thought about getting little like, I don't even know what you would call them, but like little feet basically for them. And then the feet can actually get drilled into little cement blocks. It makes portability a little more challenging, but it also might make it a little bit more stable. And perhaps I don't think vandalism would be an issue or anything like that, but it could sway something of that nature.
Yeah, it'd be unfortunate. I don't think you can ever rule it out, but
sure.
you know, definitely unfortunate. But yeah, no, I like that. You clearly put a lot of thought into this, and you know, even that is something that you could definitely change along the way if you figure out that, you know, it's not working a certain way or whatever. But
Absolutely.
you know, again, aside from any concerns the town administrator might have for placement or anything like that, it really does seem like a great idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we just have to work on final say of where exactly it ends up, because we do have infrastructure under the ground. We have a sprinkler system. We have places, you know, where we stack snow. All those things come into play, but we can figure it out. They're not insurmountable challenges. They're just things we need to look at.
Awesome.
Okay.
So guessing, this seems like everybody's on board, kind of. So what happens next then? Does Kara kind of connect with you or Will? And it's like look at location and then just start.
Yeah, just
Bring it over there?
and we can walk around and take a look.
Great.
We'll bring our maintenance guy with us, and we'll take
Oh,
a look
boy.
and figure it out.
That's going to make it official. The maintenance guy, you know, the boots.
I don't want to hit any sprinklers.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great, Kara.
Well,
Thank you so much. I've also
thank you,
known
everyone.
for a
Yeah,
while.
no,
you,
really
Kara.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Do I make a motion
Thanks.
or we're good?
I don't think we need a motion.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Kara.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Thanks so much.
Okay, moving along to the next two items, the right of first refusal and 88 High Point Drive.
Yeah, for the next two right of first refusals, we're gonna ask that you pass over those two for this meeting. The notice that we received was not sufficient under what we're supposed to receive, so we have reached out to the I forgot the word again. I did this earlier today too. Having a senior moment.
Oh, what is it? Something,
It's not going to
Raffle
change,
authority
Evan.
there.
It gets worse.
something agent.
Yeah, agent, the lottery agent. No, the. Anyways,
I wrote it, but I can't read
one
it
is
or write it.
CHAPA and one is the OHLC. Whatever the title you want to put on those that I
Yeah.
can't come up with right now.
Yeah.
No.
Anyways, the agent that's in charge of bringing this forward to us.
Anyways, yes. So they have to issue us a notice that talks about the sale price of the property and so on and so forth. We normally get that both times. For these two properties, we did not. We were approached by the owners of the property, so we've reached out to CHAPA and to EOHLC to get that proper notice, and then we can put it on the next agenda and move forward.
Got it.
Great.
Remember when we thought we'd never remember EOHLC?
Yeah. Now we just can't remember what it stands for.
Okay, so we
I
will
know what it
pass
stands for.
over
Just-
both of those items F and G, and then we'll move right into reviewing the citizens petitions, of which we just have one currently.
And the bands too.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, I skipped right over E on my way to F and
No
G.
worries.
Okay, so we're gonna consider a vote to approve, thank you, everyone, sale of bond anticipation notes. And if you wanna just.
Yeah, so this is just us continuing to roll that debt and bond anticipation note. This is for the fire truck. I think it's engine 3 is the one that we're rolling.
I believe so.
Yep. So pretty standard fare. We will then roll this into a bond next fiscal year, or we will continue to ban it depending on what rate is better, which we will see where we are when we get there. I would like to say that when we make the motion for this, if the board so chooses, we do need to approve it with changes to the officer list under schedule You have that in front of you?
You can get there in just 1 second.
Essentially, it still lists Mr. Often as the chair. It still has Ginny Kramer as our counsel. That list clearly wasn't updated, so
It's under Schedule A.
a Schedule A, principal town officials, so, if we could just, vote to approve it with, corrections to that section.
So just with the changes
To
to the
Schedule A.
officer list under Schedule A.
Yeah, officer list under Schedule A, thank you.
So we'll approve with changes to officer
It's
list.
gonna be a big one.
No, it's
Yeah, Godspeed on this one, Mr. Alamo.
under Schedule A. We got it.
You got this.
Don't worry, it's just a real big deal.
Just, it's a big one. It's a big
5
one.
You
paragraphs.
just won't get a second if you don't get it right. We'll do it again. No worries.
Okay. I'll be back. Madam Chair,
Mr. Alamo.
I move the board vote to approve the sale of a $600,000 4.40% general obligation bond anticipation note, otherwise known as the note, of the town dated April 23rd, 2025, and payable April 23, 2026, to Bank Hometown at par and accrued interest, if any. I further move the board vote that in connection with the marketing and sale of the note, the preparation and distribution of a notice of sale and preliminary official statement dated April 1, 2025, and on official statement dated April 8, 2025, each in such form as may be approved by the town treasurer, be and hereby are ratified, confirmed, and approved and adopted. I move the board vote that we authorize and direct the town treasurer to establish post-issuance federal tax compliance procedures in such form as the town treasurer and bond council deem sufficient, or if such procedures are currently in place, to review and update said procedures in order to monitor and maintain the tax-exempt status of the note. I move the board vote that any certifications and documents relating to the notes, collectively the documents, may be executed in several counterparts, each of which shall be regarded as an original and all of which shall constitute one and the same document. Delivery of an executed counterpart of a signature page to a document by electronic mail in a PDF file or other electronic transmission shall be as effective as delivery of a manually executed counterpart signature page to such document. Any electronic signatures on any of the documents shall be deemed original signatures for the purposes of the documents and all matters relating thereto having the same legal effect as original signatures. I also move the board vote that each member of the select board, the town clerk, and the town treasurer be and hereby are authorized to take any and all such actions and execute and deliver such certificates, receipts, or other documents as may be determined by the town or any of them to be necessary or convenient to carry into effect the provisions of the foregoing votes. Also, this entire motion is subject to corrections to the officers' list under Schedule A.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries 4-0 as read by Mr. Alamo. Okay, now moving along to reviewing the citizen petition. And
Great job,
Mark. And Colin, you can just tell us a little
Take
bit
that
about
attaboy
what's going
every
on with
day.
this.
Well, it's pretty exciting to be talking about tax exemption on tax day.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good
Appropriate.
scheduling. When I was on the board previously, the number one thing I heard from seniors was they wanted relief when it came to their property taxes. And I was at a special town meeting in Hopkinton this fall, and they had this on the warrant. They've been offering it for a number of years now, and it was time for their town meeting to reauthorize it. It was really inspiring to watch people get up and speak strongly in favor of it. I just knew I had to bring it to Grafton. The state has attempted to bring this previously statewide in its most recent iterations through the Municipal Empowerment Act. But this will guarantee that it gets to Grafton residents sooner, and we don't have to take a wait and see approach with what happens to the state because, like I said, they've tried before and it hasn't quite gotten through. A few things I'd like to highlight about the petition is that there's a set criteria that seniors will have to meet, and it aligns with the current senior circuit breaker income tax credit. It's a mouthful. The Board of Assessors will have the ability to deny any applicants if they find an applicant has excessive assets. Additionally, the Board of Assessors will create their own form and an application process, including a deadline for the application. The Select Board will set the rate annually. It can't be less than half of the senior circuit breaker, and it can't be more than 200%. And every 3 years, town meeting will get a chance to weigh in and reauthorize it if they want to keep giving the exemption. So I love that this isn't just a one and done. Like, you know, CPA, we took a vote 20 years ago and now we still do it. This is something that we're going to be able to maintenance each year, manicure, see what we want to do with it. And then every 3 years, bring it back to town meeting and report back and see if people still want to do it. So I do have some slides to break down some of the numbers, unless people have any questions about that so far. Great. So the most recent data from the DOR is from 2022, and the senior circuit breaker in Grafton, there were 348 individuals that took advantage of it, and it averaged to about $1,000. So if you were to use that number, break it out, those are the potential exemptions that seniors could receive based off, you know, the percentage that the select board would set. But we know 348 individuals is not the same as 348 properties. There's not 348 properties in Grafton, and that's what we're talking about, is a property tax exemption. So on the next slide, using the current abatements that are being given, it's reasonable to believe that there's approximately 125 households that might qualify for this. There's not a lot of chance that all 125 households will apply in the first year, or maybe ever, but it's good to know what that max threshold is so we know what numbers we'd be working with. So let's say all 125 households applied in the first year, that's the amount that would have to be redistributed within the tax levy. So on the next slide, this is what those redistribution numbers would look like. So for the average households, just as a reminder, it's $625,000 in Grafton. The rate change would be between 1 and 6 cents, and those are the dollar amounts per year if all 125 households applied and got the exemption. You know, at 100%, it would change your tax bill about $18. So it's a big reward for our vulnerable seniors, and it's a really kind of a small ask in the grand scheme of things. And just to put this in perspective, Hopkinton, the first year they had 19 households, the second year was 16, and the third year was 24. So these numbers are based off 125. They're only going to go down, which is good. So when we're talking about overrides, one of the big things that come up is we want to protect our vulnerable seniors. They're living on, you know, set incomes, and this helps protect them. So when we're trying to also help our children, we can be helping our seniors at the same time by having these exemptions available. Okay.
Great. Any questions from the board? Oh, you guys are too easy. It's on the warrant, so yeah, it'll go, and you'll speak at the town meeting. We'll bring this. Yeah, I think this is, it's helpful what you presented. Certainly the numbers. Yeah.
Perfect. So you guys have no questions?
Well, just a couple of comments. That I liked the analysis. That was good to just understand what the numbers might look like. This board sent a note off in favor and support, basically, of the Municipal Empowerment Act. And one of the things we mentioned was the senior tax exemption. So I think it's a great idea. It's always driven me a little bit crazy that we didn't have more to offer seniors. So I think this is a great option. Thanks for bringing it forth.
No problem.
Mark?
Madam Chair? Yep, I think it's a great idea, and the $18 is sort of the offset. So we provide some sort of a tax exemption for roughly 125 homes, which then creates some sort of a, whatever that cost is then distributed roughly $18.77 approximately per household? Is that the?
For the average household. So if
That's,
you're,
it's all average numbers. I know that it's up and down and across the spectrum, but
so it wouldn't create like $125,000 deficit that the town administrator would then have to find. It just gets redistributed, which is,
he thanks you for that
yeah,
because he's got others.
exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
All right.
Love it.
Anything else?
Yeah, and I feel like low short-term memory tonight. So that $18 number, that was based on full participation, right?
Right. So that would mean 125 households in Grafton would get approved, and they would be at 100%. You know, the $1,000. So that means 125 households are getting $1,000 credit. 125 seniors are getting $1,000 credit, and everybody else has to pay about $18.
Yeah. So this is, I mean, to reequate it to the other budget discussions we had, again, you're paying for less than a Netflix subscription. It's not a monthly cost.
Right.
That's an annual cost.
More than that. I don't know if you have multiple accounts on Netflix, but
Well, but
it's adding up now.
But I'm
but it's not
almost
18
sure
bucks a month.
people
It's
right
18
now.
bucks a year.
No,
you
it's
know, I mean,
terrible.
that's
No,
yeah,
right,
like,
exactly.
That's fantastic.
Netflix does not want to watch these meetings. You guys.
So they're going to get mad. Can I ask another question, Madam Chair? I also was curious, how do we determine eligibility? I know that's talked about. How does that happen?
So it's highlighted in the petition itself, and it's based off the same criteria that currently exists at the senior circuit breaker level for the income tax.
As far as the brass tacks goes, is that the assessors are through the Board of Assessors are reviewing different abatement applications, and through the schedule that is set by this language, a senior would come to the assessor's office on the form that the assessors are using. They would apply for this reduction, and then what they would be required to prove their income and their receipt of the senior circuit breaker tax credit. And when I say that we would need to verify income, we're realistically, if they've received that circuit breaker credit and we have confirmation of that, we know that they've met everything. So there's not a really complex math equation going on in the background. We don't need a CPA.
Not a hearing or anything, a public.
Right. It's just, you met that. You've given us the documents that prove what your income and assets are. You've given us the document that shows that you got the senior circuit breaker tax credit.
Yep.
Then we're good.
Got it. Thank you. Thanks, Colleen.
All right. And just a question for me, and if you talked to Tammy or the assessor's office and
Yes.
gone through what they need to do on their end and what that will look like?
So we've definitely talked. I don't think she's had it all ironed out yet because this needs to get approved at town meeting first.
Sure.
Then it needs to get approved at the state level. So there's nothing but time to get all that figured out. But she's aware of it. She's talking to other communities that offer it. And yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And then at town meeting, is this just a simple majority?
I believe this is 2/3.
So I was wondering if it's 2/3 or
I believe it's 2/3 because it is the petition of the legislature and not go through the ballot process.
okay.
Yeah, town clerk I think was 2/3.
Yep.
But we thought it was majority and that's why we left all confused.
Correct. That's
Yep.
my recollection. We do have the vote counts though. Will's just checking.
It is a simple majority.
Okay, then I was incorrect.
Okay,
Simple
good to
majority.
We should double check.
We
I
Okay,
wanna make
great.
sure.
That's all I have. Anyone else? Okay, thanks Colleen for your
Thank
work
you.
on this. Okay, moving along to, just make sure I'm not gonna skip over anything else. Closing the Springtown meeting warrant. And we all have a copy tonight, or
Yep, everyone
if you
should
haven't
have a
already, and of course it was on there, yep, as well. Anything in here anyone wants to talk about? So for me, the high fields, that will still be something that will be discussed at the time, or the open space?
Yes, correct. Yep, so it's, I would recommend that it move forward and be put on the warrant. We can always pass over to town meeting if we don't get satisfaction for removal of that building on the corner. So
Okay.
I've met with conservation, need to close the loop with the developer and try to come to some kind of resolution on
Okay.
either a monetary offset that we remove it or there needs to be an agreement in place of what's gonna happen with that before I would feel comfortable recommending it to town meeting. And I'm certainly happy to speak to that when we get to town meeting, if we haven't, like I said, reached satisfaction on that issue.
Okay, and that's the one, it's kind of lumped in Article 38, right? It's all
Correct.
part of that, okay. And do you anticipate maybe by the meeting just before, we might have,
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm hopeful,
okay.
yeah, within the next week to 2 weeks.
Anyone else have anything? Go ahead, Hindi.
Just a quick comment. Same project, and thank you for asking that question. I had a similar question. Just all the faith in Evan that he get that buttoned up. Just make sure we cross the T's and dot I's. Something that we had just discussed earlier, you know, to the public that may be flipping through this for the first time. The High Point Drive articles do show up in there twice, once from the select board and once because they were submitted as citizens petition, so they have to remain there and
Correct.
will ultimately be passed over at town meeting.
Right. So the second one, the one that you'll see in the citizens petition area, was deemed not sufficient by town council, but the board had already voted in favor of moving this forward to town meeting at a previous meeting. So it seemed redundant to make them go back out and do another citizens petition to achieve the same result. So, since it was already going on to the warrant and everybody seemed in agreement that we would put it on the warrant, that's why it's on there twice, but under Mass General Law, Chapter 39, Section 10, we can't remove it without the applicant removing it, with notice, and we didn't have notice in time, so.
Okay. Anything else?
I do just want to say thanks, because we've started kind of this process of your office offering help to citizens petitioners to get things that are actionable on town meeting floor, you know, to not to do it for them, to help craft that language and get it to where it needs to be. This being an example of that, something that, you know, was moved to a discussion before the board rather than, you know, kind of belaboring the issue at town meeting floor and trying to sort it out then. So I think that's been a really valuable service that your office has provided, and just want to acknowledge that.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I have just one more question. So just to clarify, so Article 28 compared to Article 38 relative to the open space on that same development,
One
yeah.
second.
So Article 28 speaks to grant of open space consisting of all these parcels.
Right.
And grant,
And Article 27 is the roadways associated with it. So we split them in two,
yeah.
so that,
But how does, sorry, I'm
Sorry.
more looking at, I get it for those two, but
Okay.
so Article 28 versus then on 38 where we're accepting the grant of open space. Same?
same,
Okay.
same. We just wrote it the way it's supposed to be written. So
28's the good one.
28 is the
we're
good
gonna
one,
do.
38 is the one we pass over.
I see, okay, thank you.
Okay.
Got it. We're all on the same page, I think. Okay, great. Okay, we're all good with that? Okay, great. And this is available, or not quite yet, it will be available to.
It will be
the public?
available tomorrow once it's been signed and scanned in.
Yep.
Yep.
And then do we still put it at the library and places like that, or?
It'll go up at the town bulletin board here, the library, and on the town website.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, moving along to select board reports.
I think I should make a motion though on the
Oh,
town
sorry.
meeting warrant, if
Yep.
you don't mind, Madam Chair.
It's okay, I just
It
had a,
started with the pledge and it's just going downhill.
No, it's all
One
good. You're
single beat of
skipping here.
I appreciate everyone chiming
Madam
in.
Chair, respectfully,
Yes.
I move the board vote to close and sign the town meeting warrant.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries 4-0. I apologize. It says right there, close the spring town meeting warrant. Okay, moving along to select board reports. Anybody have anything?
I'll go first.
Okay, go ahead.
Kick it off. So I attended MMA webinar on Citizens Academies last week and some best practices. It's a neat program. These academies are like little courses in municipal government functions for residents. It seemed like the sweet spot in there is communities tend to hold them about once a week for 10 weeks. Each week they focus on a different department, and you know, it involves some buy-in from the department heads who will have to do some planning and whatnot on how they want to present. But you know, it gets the public in the building, gives them an opportunity to see the work that's being done. You know, another plus side that was called out was it can give junior town staff more of an opportunity to interact with residents and be able to answer questions and point people in the right direction and just do that skill building. Also attended the Water District Commissioners meeting. Interestingly, reps from Brennan Homes and GSX were there asking about permitting relief for the project over at 8 Pine. So seems like we could get a little movement there in the near future. The state denied our long-term draw request from the Follette Street well and is requesting an operational report first, but the temporary draw request remains in place, so really not a big deal for residents in that regard. They just wrapped the first round of PFAS pilot testing for the Trinity well. The second round happens in a couple months. I also wanted to remind residents that we do have a water moratorium in effect. There was a lot of discussion around what's exempt from this moratorium at the last meeting. If anybody wants to tune in on that, you can also find details on the Water District website or calling their office. They bundle their elections and town meeting, annual meeting, I should say. So Tuesday, April 28th, anybody who resides in the Water District area, you don't actually have to be a customer, is open to go and vote at their headquarters from 3:15 to 5:15. And then their annual meeting will start at 5:30, all of which down at the headquarters on 44 Millbury Street. The other one was most of us were able to attend the Grafton Common Traffic Study outreach meeting at the library last week. I felt there was a really good crowd in the community room. A lot of people turned out. One of the main priorities that we heard listed was walkability. The firm walked through some of the current traffic and pedestrian measures that we have up there and how they could be improved. And for the people who weren't there, it was really just kind of an information gathering and planning meeting, something that'll continue on through the summer and where people have plenty of opportunity left to provide input. So, thank you.
Anyone else?
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Matt.
So the Affordable Housing Trust met, and I have a few updates. I sent the board documents on the 25 Worcester development. So if just for the public, I guess, back in 2020, I think it was, town meeting approved 25 Worcester Street property to be given to the Affordable Housing Trust. So what the trust did is it put out an RFP for developing a senior/elder community affordable housing development, and we got a response from a couple of respondents. Only one of those responses were compliant with the RFP process, so that we reviewed it and awarded it. So we have a partner now that we're working with, Worcester Development, and so we got an update on that. The update is basically the pre-development financing was secured. So that allows for surveying and the first level of engineering. That will be submitted for feasibility, and hopefully that will happen before the fall, when we have a round of general funding that can be applied for at the state. So if there's a finding of feasibility, the project gets green lighted based on the initial engineering, then hopefully we can get some actual development funding, which the first round of that would come in the fall. So it's really good news on that. We couldn't, the original plan was to apply for that development funding this year, but the state had made a decision that they were going to put all of their funding that this project would apply for towards projects that would directly support the homeless population, understandably. So we've got that general round opening up. The commentary was that the project itself is looked favorably upon at the state level, and they like what Grafton's been doing with our affordable housing numbers. So that was good. Let's see. Okay, so that was one. 1727, they're looking to update and possibly slightly change the grant agreement. So the Affordable Housing Trust will evaluate their proposals and talk it through with council. But that's moving forward. I think Evan at some point when he's ready can talk a little bit about there's some environmental issues on 1727 that need to be remediated, and there could be some costs at the from the town that are going to be needed for that. But he can speak better to that. They also gave us news on Pine Street, which is they have gotten their initial financing and they're looking to commence the Pine Street development in July. So that's good news. That's like 71 affordable units and 316 overall. So good news on that. I guess the last thing is that the Housing Trust is planning a housing community forum in June. So as that evolves, we get specific dates and agendas and all that kind of stuff put together, I'll give further updates to the board on that. And that is all I had. I did also just print out some just conceptual diagrams for anybody. This stuff is all up on the website. It's under the 25 Worcester projects. If you click into that project, you'll see conceptual drawings, the RFP that we did, the RFP responses. To Bob Carroll, I have not always agreed with everything that you've said, but I have. I'm really trying to respond to your commentary about putting documents up, making things transparent to the community, and making sure that we do more regular updates on these projects. So this is part of that initiative, is to just make people aware that those documents are there, and to bring some information to the board as things evolve and change, and we get additional information. Any questions on 25 Worcester?
Any questions?
That's it.
That is it. Yeah.
Or
So.
like me?
Yep.
Difference
So
in
this
technology.
is a concept. It's basically 48 units. It is a single building. It's got a central elevator. It's built for basically financial economy. This is all done with grants, so there's no cost to the town on this. Basically the town's costs were donating the land. So this is the kind of development that we can do with public-private partnerships. This is a nonprofit organization that we've partnered with. So it's a great project. This is by no means a final design. But I just want to be as transparent as we can about these things as they are made available to us. So, yeah.
Any questions for Matt? Go ahead.
More of a comment, but I really enjoyed the presentation during the Affordable Housing Trust meeting for 25 Worcester Street. That representative really just it seems low key, unflappable. Really demonstrated a knowledge of the process. What barriers you can expect to face here on out, and things like that was really open to your conversation. I was just really impressed with how prepared he came to speak with you guys, and how well versed he is in the topic. I mean, it just seems like you picked a really good partner.
Yeah, I mean, this is all they do.
Yeah.
Like, they don't do any market housing. This is all, so this is his whole jam with the organization that he's with. So yeah, he's been through it. And if anybody's interested in, Worcester Development as a company, as an organization, their RFP response to us has a lot of the developments that they have worked on. So, you can take a look at the kind of experience that they have, but it's extensive, and it's really nice to talk to somebody who's passionate and knowledgeable about the subject. So, yeah, I do. We ended up with a very good partner with them, for sure.
Anything else for Matt?
Nope.
Mark, do you have any select board reports? Okay. And so, Matt, thank you, first of all, for doing this, and I think I was gonna ask you tonight, I knew you guys had met, and I didn't watch it or go, so, doing this update here is even helpful, and the more information, the better, as we all get questions out there, in addition to just the committee.
Absolutely.
And then just back to, Mr. Lamont, a number of weeks ago, or maybe a month ago now, had asked a specific question in correspondence, and I mentioned it to you to bring to AHT. And what I can do is I can find it and then forward it again to you if you guys didn't end up speaking about
I didn't
that.
speak
Yep, that's
about
okay.
that.
So I'll just forward it. I'll, that's no worries.
Thanks.
Dig it up for next, month. For me, we had a master plan meeting, I think it was last Monday, and, it looks like hopefully by June we will be, that committee will be almost getting near the end. I believe we've been meeting for 2 years now, and it's all been online. It's all via Zoom. So again, for me, that's a challenge. But we got through it, and right now it's out there for folks to weigh in. Both the master plan committee we have this week to do some edits, and then it's gone out to stakeholders and various groups. So hopefully we'll get some feedback, and if it hasn't gone to your group, then please hop on the website and dig it up, or reach out to Fiona's office to get it to you so that we can make sure, because I've had a couple of people reach out to me from 2 organizations where there were some, just clear errors on the names of the organization. So that's all, super helpful. So that's kind of where we are. We're nearing the end of that process. And then we also had the trustees of Soldiers and Sailors Memorials meeting. I believe that was last Thursday. And a number of projects ongoing with that group. It's just a great group of folks. But most, in terms of timeliness, and we did, I believe, get an invitation already, but the select board is invited, as well as other folks in the community, on Saturday, May the 3rd. There will be, for Warren Joseph Houghton, the Civil War marker will be placed, and that's at 11 o'clock. So, and that's at Pine Grove Cemetery. So feel free to hop over onto our site for minutes and various, any other information and agendas, and feel free to ask me in terms of what's going on. But that's kind of the highlight for what we were doing. I also went to the Common Study evening last week, and that was great. It was great that it was well attended. And additionally, I took last Tuesday off and went into the State House to the House Ways and Means Committee public hearing, and didn't speak at the time. I went in prepared to speak, but there was a very long line of folks who had pre-registered and whatnot, which is great. And speaking to a variety of things. However, a number of folks certainly did speak to the Chapter 70, which is what my testimony was related to. So I did submit that, and they indicated, just similar to us, that all of that will be read, and then I forwarded it along to our representatives here locally. And that's all I have. Any questions for me on any of that? Excellent. Go ahead.
Depressing follow-up. No, I read yesterday that Senator Mariano has said that they won't, with so much federal uncertainty, they won't be taking a look at the per pupil spending in the joint committee. That's off the table, and that was really disappointing to hear, because this board had kind of championed for that among a lot of other towns. So.
It's interesting going to things like that. I try to generally be a relatively positive, have a positive attitude in terms of these things and open-minded. And so, there's kids there that are testifying, a lot from Western Mass, as a matter of fact. I think they did a tour out there and hit Amherst, and so therefore, a number of those kids were in there, including 4 fourth graders that came up and spoke, which was great. So, you get that sense, right? But then you read some other chatter and you hear from people like, nothing's going to happen, it's going to be the same, so while you go in with a positive attitude, I was a little bit tempered because, hearing other folks, speak and whatnot. But, all we can do is just keep at it. And obviously there is uncertainty, but I'm not sure if, I'm not gonna conjecture my personal opinion, but anyways, yes, appreciate that, but we will forge forward just the same.
Persevere. Yep.
Yep, so on to TA report.
Okay. So, in case anyone missed it, we did get some snowfall last weekend, and it kind of did screw up our time frame that I gave at the last meeting just a little bit. There was a lot of stuff that was just before or just after. So, anyways, we have not restarted on Millbury Street or North Street yet, but I would think that, but it is imminent. Both of them are in the mobilizing stage. We should start to see some action on those shortly. I don't have an update on Depot Street Bridge. I did reach out, and I haven't heard back yet as far as timeline goes on that.
The one where we got like a memo though, there's gonna be a closure for quite some time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so closing at the end of the month.
Yeah.
It's right. Yes, thank you for clarifying. So it is closing at the end of the month. I guess that's a project update, so
Yeah.
I can update that.
So we'll
But
get a go around.
I don't know that that's when they start construction. I think
Right.
that's when they just close it. But either way, that's the impact to the residents, right? Is when it's closed. So I will update that on here. Route 140, they are in the milling process still. Not still. They're actually making really good progress. They're moving right along. Our folks, Brian Cizurko and Paul Canoyer, were successful in getting them to move the start of that project up to the crosswalk by the inn at that intersection instead of on the other side of the railroad tracks, which is great work. And I do believe that DOT was very amenable to it and said, oh yeah, that makes a lot more sense, and just made it happen. So that was great. Good partnership all the way around. Fitzpatrick Road Bridge, just gonna leave that on here. We're not planning on doing any work on that until school is out for summer. Okay, here's the heavy hit. So this is George Hill Road's update. I have that separated out because I have a lot of information to give. So where are we currently? So we are in front of the planning board on the 28th of April. For our scenic road permit. We are now projecting that we will be out to bid in June or July. And we will have the notice to proceed and contract awarded by August, September. The reason that there's the gap there is that we don't necessarily control everything with the notice to proceed and contract award. There's a lot of negotiation that has to go back and forth with the successful bidder. So this is obviously a delay from what we have been talking about with the public, and so I want to address why we have seen the delays. So as we discussed here, we did add Soap Hill Road and Fay Mountain Road, and that really came as we navigated the end of 2023 and into 2024, and we had some really strong weather events and saw some additional pressure points that for the stormwater system that we didn't really understand existed, especially down at the end of Fay Mountain Road and where George Hill Road connects, and we've got water coming down George Hill Road and down Fay Mountain Road, and the outlet for that is going to be in that stream that's right there, and the stream is really only 2 to 3 feet below the road surface, so there's really not a lot of place to put all of that water, and so that did necessitate a pretty big reworking of what we thought was going to be happening on that end of the road. So we're also trying to be very cautious with the amount of water that goes into that entire basin. I mean, that is the area that we've talked to. Maggie Bilodeau's been in here to talk about her dam. We've got the Stowe Road culvert. We've got everything. That's all where that water is going to end up. So we're trying to be very cautious and make sure that we've done all of the things that we need to do before we start putting shovels into the ground. We also had a significant Concom notice of intent filing, a significant delay there. I missed the word delay. And peer review. Not blaming Conservation Commission. There's a big process, but it did take longer than we anticipated to go through the peer review process to ensure that everything was the way it needed to be. We also had a much longer tree and stone wall survey than we expected. It just became more and more and more complex as we went. And so what does that mean as far as costs? So we've added an additional $1.4 million to the project to do Soap Hill and Fay Mountain. We are funding that through Chapter 90 and road stabilization. We will be back before the select board with a plan for what that means for our asphalt management plan, as well as what we have available in Chapter 90, as the select board is technically the Chapter 90 authority that releases those funds. That's kind of my update, and I'm happy to answer any questions or follow up with any questions you may have. It's a very big project for a small country road that just gets more and more complicated as we go.
Any questions from the board?
No, Madam Chair.
If I could elaborate on one other thing, I just wanted to mention, because I did speak to a resident this week about why it's so complicated as opposed to some of these other roads that we do, and the engineering is a lot less invasive. And one of the things that really complicates George Hill Road is the amount of ledge. So every storm drain that we put in, every pipe that we move across, every connection we make is likely chiseled out of rock.
Like an explosion, or like with a machine.
You're killing me, Mark. I don't.
Well, you know what I mean. You know how they do that. They'll throw the.
I don't know all the ins and outs yet. We will.
Sorry.
Basically, I don't want people to start calling the office.
I don't mean it like
about us
that. You
dynamiting
know what
the
I
road
mean?
and
There's
such.
like controlled.
I know what you're saying. Mark. I wish you would stop saying it. No,
I didn't say it only once.
no. We don't know exactly all the tools and the process that we're going to use, but we will be more than forthcoming with the residents that are in the area and will be impacted by any vibration or anything that comes along with that. But it is that's one of the major complicating factors is routing the water through the ledge.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Andy.
Just again, thank you for a detailed update. Things are taking a little longer than anticipated, but I still feel like this is moving in the right direction. I'm glad that we're again taking a methodical approach. It doesn't really seem surprising that this would be kind of a one step forward, two steps back scenario as more and more things are uncovered as we go through this process. But in the end, it just a real appreciation that this is going to be done right by the end of this project. You know, that we'll really manage some water flow and upgraded these streets to where they should have been decades ago. So, yep, it's taken a little bit longer, but the end result is really going to be something that you and the DPW and everybody involved should be proud of.
Thanks. Let's hope.
Anything else?
Madam Chair, yeah, just quickly, I'll be interested in hearing the impacts on Chapter 90, I guess, and what that's going to do to the rest of the pavement plan. I totally understand, kind of how we got here, but we already made a bit of a compromise in terms of not bonding the entire amount, and so I'll just be interested in how that works out. Whatever we can do to minimize the impact to all of the other roads in Grafton, obviously. We've been making really good strides in the past decade or so since we've had that dedicated road stabilization fund, and I just really would hate to see us backslide at all, because you can really tell the difference. There's a notable difference in the roads in Grafton and how they're maintained, how they're plowed, from our town to every other town around us. The second you get into Millbury or Upton, or it's really noticeable, and I think residents really appreciate having good roads, even though they're not all as good as we would like. But in general, they're in really good condition and they're just getting better. So definitely want to keep that going.
Anything else? So for me, just updating this onto the website,
That was
because
something I wanted to
the last
touch on.
thing, so, it was brought to my attention, was like from 2023, and again, going back to like even Matt, your comment on like affordable housing information, it's like, just that these folks that live there can see something
Yep.
in the last 2 years.
Yes, thank you for saying that. We did, we haven't done a great job of updating that section of the site. We do have information about this project, but it is scattered throughout, and so we are gonna work on getting that all into one, back into one spot, so that the residents of George Hill Road or Grafton in general have an easier time of finding the information. I also, reached out via, I asked Paul to reach out to get an updated set of plans that we can get to be a reasonable size to be able to put onto the website, because it's a huge amount of data, and so we want to just make sure that we've got it in bite-sized chunks so that we can get that out. So he was working on that today, so we're
Okay,
I
and
think
even
that-
just, some of this, just
Yep,
getting it out
absolutely.
there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, we will do that.
And Leland, is that part of this?
Leland is on there. That is just a mill and overlay. It's not a full rework of the drainage.
Okay, so part of the project, but
Yep, it's that whole kind of quadrant over there.
not mentioned here because it's just a different type of,
Yeah, this was the kind of big
yeah,
update. I think when I was doing my general update, it does say Leland on it. It was all part of that
Okay.
extrapolated thing, but
and so, and then the timeline, if you're looking at like whatever this is in August, like what are the chances of,
we're hoping to get some mobilization, because a lot of our winter condition work won't be as impacted because we're not putting down materials that are subject to problems with heating and cooling, right? We're not doing asphalt, it doesn't have to stay a certain temperature. We're not doing a lot of things. So we are confident they're going to be able to start working in the fall, and just hopefully, it's going to slow down in the winter because there's a limited amount of things we can do, but it's a big project.
Sure.
And we're hoping to be able to just continue working.
okay,
So with the caveat that if we start getting snowstorms of 2 feet at a time, that's going to be a problem
of course,
regardless.
okay, great.
Okay, I don't think that's the end of my update, is it? Oh, okay. So paving update of what we have going on right now. These are the same roads we listed at the last meeting. They have all been milled, and they will probably be paved in the beginning of May. So they're kind of working along with the Route 140 schedule. So they brought the machinery in, milled all our streets, then went to 140. They're milling that, and then I would assume that we'll start to see the asphalt rolling in. They'll do our stuff, and then they'll do 140. We'll just be done. So those are on the list. This is another of Andy's fantastic logos we put onto the Metro West update. This is today I was in Westboro for most of the day. So we interviewed executive directors. We had 3 candidates, final candidates. We are meeting on Friday morning to finalize deliberation and make an offer to an executive director employee. That's a huge hurdle that we've been trying to get past, and I'm very excited to onboard someone.
Is your preferred candidate still in the running?
There is a preferred candidate, yes.
Great.
So we have also, we did another demo for a CAD RMS software this afternoon. That went really well, and I think we're honing in on where the Chiefs want to end up, which is, again, that's another huge hurdle. And then the building is still within the special permit process in Westboro. Okay, still going. So as I noted last time, our grants are just shy of $2.5 million this year, which is excellent work by all of our staff. We did lose one federal grant today. We were notified that we've lost $37,500 of the Marion Road Culvert Project funding. That is part of the Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities program. We do have 2 additional grants with that program, totaling another $130,000 that we do suspect is in jeopardy and imminent risk of loss. And those are all previously awarded grants. Budget update, we don't really have a budget update, thankfully, other than you can check out the budget book. I think we definitely took a step forward with our budget book this year. We've still got work to do, but I was proud of the progress we made moving forward. We were notified last week that we received the Community Planning Award from the CMRPC. So big thank you to our planning board, our town planner Fiona Coughlin and her staff. That's a really nice award to get from CMRPC, and they'll be awarding that in June. I believe we sent that out to the entire board. And if you're interested in attending that dinner, getting your picture taken with the award, more than welcome to join in on that. And then update on the fitness court project. So we did some work on that today. As far as the finance side goes, they are taking their final vote tomorrow for the grant committee. As it's described to us, it's pretty much the last hurdle in the process, but we're a shoe-in because we've done all the steps we're supposed to do. So that should just be a notification from them. Then they will ship materials to us within the next 2 to 4 weeks, which I then have to figure out how to house. Because when they asked if we could house it, I said, "Oh yeah, it's not a problem." As you do with any grant thing, you're like, "Yeah, sure, I'll figure it out." So we're going to figure that out, and then we've got till June essentially to finish our concrete work and meet the next milestone. So, yeah, it's a very fast moving process, but happy to be a part of it. I also went to office hours last week in the senior center and met with a group of seniors and talked to them about this project, and there was a very nice response from the folks that were there. The main concern was the loss of the tent. Although I did have a fun conversation with the folks that were concerned about losing the tent, but also don't have any intention of going outside of the tent. But it was nice. They were advocating for others that do. And so I talked to them about the pavilion idea out there, and they were very, very excited about the whole idea. And we've also had conversations with our fitness staff that do the projects or the exercise classes. Thank you. And everyone seemed to be really excited about the possibility of doing some more outdoor things and changing some of the programming we do and adding programming. So it's looking really, really optimistic, really promising. And thankfully, I think that's it.
End of slideshow. Any questions for Evan? Okay, moving along. Anyone have anything in correspondence they want to speak to? Nope. And we have no resignations. Any public comments? None here in the room. Anybody at home?
There's no remote participation.
No one's there at all?
Oh, see, this is why
There's a few people out there.
Yeah,
There are no hands on Zoom, is what you're supposed to say.
I see 8.
there are people here. They're not looking to contribute.
Okay. Okay,
What
gotcha.
a disappointment.
Okay,
That's my fault.
Andy knows what he did.
we have no meeting minutes, and so I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries 4-0. All right, good night, everybody.